Hello and welcome to this basic webinar regarding 3GPP overview. My name is Latko. I'm a telecommunication engineer working in mobile testing for almost 10 years now. So this presentation will cover the basics of the 3GPP organization flow. So if you go to 3GPP website, you will find a definition of what 3GPP stands for, and it follows like this: provide globally applicable technical specification for third generation mobile system based on the evolved GSM core network and universal terrestrial radio access called UTRA, to be transposed by relevant standardization bodies, so-called organization partners, into appropriate deliverables and standards. So here's a little bit about the built-up or startup of 3GPP. 3GPP stands for Third Generation Partnership Project, which means the whole 3GPP concept is built up of different partners working together. It is a standardization body within telecommunication. It was first initiated by Nortel Networks in Canada together with AT&T in US. The project was established in December of 1998. The plan for 3GPP was to create standards for the 3G MTIS technology as a follow-up of the GSM and GPRS and EDGE, which was the first phase 1, phase 2, and up to release 98, I think. But that wasn't the case. What happened instead, the scope was increased with newer technologies, such as after the 3G came the HSDPA, HSUPA, you have HSP+, then release 8 LTE, then we have release 10 of LTE Advanced, and so forth. The 3GPP standardization covers the radio access, core network, and service architecture. Here is a little bit overview of the 3GPP. It contains some different boxes, as you can see here. The main box is called Project Coordination Group, so-called PCG. This box contains of 5 people, 1 chairman, and we have 3 vice chairman and 1 secretary. This box is the highest decision-making group within the 3GPP. To be able to be a board of this PCG, you need to be a member of the organizational partners, of course. They have very high responsibilities, such as allocate the budget for and resources for the technical specification groups, which are the groups that developed all the test specification. They also determine the time frame for all work progress. So it's the most important decision making body, so to speak. Below the PCG we have the technical specification groups. What they do, they develop all the test specification within the 3GPP. Each of these TCG are responsible to prepare, maintain, and approve these specification within the reference of their expertise of field. The TCG always reports to the PCGs. The TCGs has a lot of subgroups within the different fields called working groups, which I will mention later on. So 3GPP, third generation partnerships. As I mentioned before, 3GPP contains of different partners. So the main partner they're working with is so-called organizational partners called OPs, and then we have the market representation called MRPs, and the third one is called individual members, and the last one is observers. So let's talk a little bit about the organization partners, the OPs. Their responsibility, or what they do, is that they're an open standard organization with national and regional status. They approve and maintain the 3GPP scopes. They have the authority to publish and set new standards. They take decision to create or seize people from the TCG groups. The OPs are a non-profit, so they're not making money on this, and they meet twice a year for sync-up meetings. Currently we have 7 different OPs around the world, 2 in Japan, 1 in US, 1 in China, 1 in Europe, Korea and India. As you can see here on the right, there's a table with the different OPs. I will just mention the acronym of them. They have the Japan one called Arab, and we have from US ATIS, and China is CCCA, and the European standard is ETSI. From Korea we have TTA, and from Japan we have TTC, and from India it's TCDCC. So let's look into one of these non-profit organizations, the one from Europe called ETSI. ETSI stands for European Telecommunication Standard Institute. It's a non-profit organization, as I mentioned before. They create or standardize around 2,000 to 2,500 standards every year in both network sector and cell phone sector. They have almost 800 members from 64 different countries. It's an approved organization by the European Union, and they have a website online that you can read a little bit about. It's www.etsi.org. This is a little bit, it's a slide about standardization processes shown, how the different OPs work. So as you can see on the right side, you see that they are part from the beginning to the end of a technical specification release. So they are interworking together with the PCGs, and in the end they sync up with the TCGs and make a release. There's also in this picture that is not shown, there's also regulatory compliance, which means that there is also standards for different countries you have to follow as part of this process. It's called regulatory standards. Oh, here they are. Regulatory government and their mandates. So these, before you even start to develop some kind of technology or standard, you need to follow, first of all, the country's regulatory government standards they have. So let's go through the other partners called MRP, the market representations groups. What they do, authorities, most of them have high competence to identify market requirements. They will offer market advice to the 3GPP groups and bring up 3GPP consensus view of market requirements such as services, features, functionality, and it always have to fall into the 3GPP scope. However, they don't have capability or authority to define, publish, and set standards within the 3GPP scope. The MRPs do not hold formal meetings, so to speak. These MRPs are profit organization. They do make money, and to be part of one of these, you need to pay a yearly fee or a monthly fee. I'm not sure, but they make money on that, and they also make money on the certification. So if you want to certify your product, let's say IMS certified, you have to go through one of these forums. As you can see, there's different forums for different features. You have for IMS, you have for IPv6, you have your UMTS forum for Femtocell, etc. So on the table on the right, you can see the different MRPs. There's several of them. Another slide showing up that the MRPs have they don't have authority to set standards, but they can advise the OPs. They're also part of the standardization process from the beginning until the end. And then we have the regulators, governments as well. The other partners 3GPP is working with is called individual members. To be part of individual members, you need to be part of one of the 7 organization organization partners as a precondition. What they do, you can contribute technically or otherwise to one or more TCG groups within the 3GPP scope. These members can be terminated or absolute or expulsed from the OPs, which means that they can be removed if one of the OPs decides so. Right now there's around 450 individual members within the 3GPP. Most of these so-called individual members are coming from, if you look at the telecommunication business, it's usually from platform vendors like Qualcomm, for example, mobile vendors such as Samsung, or network vendors such as Ericsson or Nokia or something else. There is another picture here. You can see the input the individual member has. The input they have, it's that they are part of the TCGs. So one of the TCG groups the individual members are part of. The other partners that 3GPP has is called observers. The observers are not yet qualified members of or partners of 3GPP, but they can be in the future. They're called SDOs, Standard Development Organizations. 3GPP has currently 4 different observers. We have the TEA, we have the ISICC, and we have the ASIF. So here's a little bit talk about who really does the work within the 3GPP. So as I mentioned before, we have the TCG and the working groups, which are the 2 main providers of the different releases. So let's look into the TCG groups. Currently there is 4 different TCG groups. We have the GRON, which stands for GSM Edge Radio Access Network. We have the RAN, which stands for Radio Access Network, and we have the SA, Service and System Aspects, and the second one, and the last one is CT, Core Network and Terminals. So GRON is a GSM based TCG with main responsibility within RF layer within GSM and Edge. It's layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, so they create test specifications, test standards within these areas, and also they're responsible for the different interfaces within the GSM network, linked to the different boxes within the network, like AB's ATAR and A and GB interfaces. If you look at the RUN part, there are UTRAN based and EUTRAN based working TCG group. They're responsible for the radio performance, physical layer 1 and 2, and layer 3. They're also responsible for the different interfaces within the network structure, such as IU, IUB, IR, S1 and X2, and also for conformance testing for user equipment and base station within UTRAN and EUTRAN. The third one is SA. SA is overall responsible for this architecture and service capabilities within the system based on 3GPP specification. That means that the architecture for cellular, fixed cordless application, they're responsible for the charging when you make call, how much money they're going to take, accounting, network management, and also security aspects. And the last one is CT1. What they do and responsibility is, first of all, it's a layer 3 higher level protocol within the signaling. So protocols like CC call control, you have CM session management protocol messages, and you have MM, the mobility management messages. They're also responsible interconnecting from cellular network to other networks such as Wi-Fi or IP network, and they also take care of the SIM, iSIM, and USIM interfaces and how the different SIM card interconnects logically with your mobile device. So here's a more detail about the rank 4. I won't go through all these bullets, but I can look at some of them. They're responsible for cell selection, reselection performance requirements. They have in their test specification radio link requirements, radio specification for the base station, involved base station repeaters, and so on. And there is a small screenshot here taken from the 3GPP specifications, where you have the requirements and test cases, like if one of them is like 36.101, where you can read about radio performance test between for the mobile terminal. Alright, so here's a TCG structure with the four different TCG groups. Below these TCG groups we have so-called working groups, because you need to split down the workload within different areas. Like for the GROM one, we have 3 working groups, one working with radio aspect, one working with the protocol aspect, one with terminal testing. For the RUN part, we have one responsible for the layer 1, one is responsible for layer 2, one is for layer 3, and one is responsible for the different interfaces between the network infrastructure in the EUTRAN and UTRAN. And we have the one responsible for the radio performance part, which is working group 4 and the protocol aspect, and working group 5 is responsible for the conformance testing within the mobile terminal. And looking at the CA1, we have one responsible for services, one for architecture, one for security, one for codec, one for telecommunication management, mission critical applications. And the last one, the CT1, we have working groups responsible for the different protocols, higher layer 3 protocol, MMCC and SM. One is responsible interconnection between the serial network and external network, and one responsible for map, GTP, PCH, and CC. And the last one, 6, is for the smart card application aspects. If you want to read more about in detail what these different working groups are working with, just go into 3GPP website, and there is each TCG has their own website and a description of the different working groups, and there's linked also to the different working groups meetings and test specifications. So okay, this is a little screenshot I took from Wikipedia showing the different 3GPP releases from 92 to I think it's 2016 maybe, yeah. You can see the first release was 92, where they released the first GSM features with standards. 95 was added with some codecs, and 97 released 96 Caldo, added some user data rates, and for 98 we had some new features, GPRS for the data traffic. 98 Edge was added, new codec with adaptive multi-rate codec was added, and you have a new band called the 1900 band was added. So in 99 we got the first UMTS standards. If you go further down, release 5 we have IMS and Aegis DPA added, and release 6 we added Aegis UPA, and release 8 the first LTE standards were provided, and release 9 WiMAX and dual cell USUPA was added, and release 10 the LTE advanced finally came, which was the real LTE or 4G network, because it was fulfilling the IMT advanced IMT requirements for a real 4G network. And release 11, 12 and 13 is like still a little undefined. There is some new features there as well, like small cells, femtocells, and some adding carrier aggregation bands and combinations and so on. Okay, so if you want to read more about 3GPP in depth, not the basic stuff I just went through, you can just go to the 3GPP website, which is http www.3gpp.org. And thank you for your patience and time. See you next time. Bye bye.